The BTC Reaper, my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading whether the price is going up or down. Over on Dixie for the daily, we do have a long lower shadow candle possibility, so if followed by a strong green candle, we may see a push forward. Again, when Dixie pushes down, usually crypto goes up, so this may not be good for crypto. VWAP does want to push up, momentum is trying to gain strength, money flow is green, so if that VWAP does get a higher high, we could kick off a bullish trend here on the daily and continue forward. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we are seeing a pretty decent run up as some of our altcoins got beat down pretty brutally. This may be a good DCA day because we saw a very strong pullback on a lot of the market. So again, when you see these strong pullbacks, don't think the market's over. Instead, you should be buying in the red, selling in the green. Our stochastic does want to push up. VWAP is trying to gain a bullish trend. Momentum does want to push forward, so we do look like dominance could continue forward. Again, that could be bad for our altcoins. So we had that symmetrical triangle that we covered the other day, and we saw the bearish breakdown. We'll cover that in the 1 hour, but stochastic is pushing away. RSI is weakening. VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is pushing down, and that money flow is in the bearish territory, so I would watch very closely. Over here on the 1 hour, you can see we attempted to break down. We did manage to hold, but then we got a long upper shadow candle followed by a strong red candle. That would be confirmation that we could end up breaking down and seeing a bearish move. Now, we did get lower highs with lower lows after seeing a push down. There was not very much of a retest besides us trying to regain traction here. Now remember, this did have a higher probability of breaking down, and this does show why you want to trade on confirmations. Don't trade just because we could see a bullish possibility, but stochastic is pulling back. VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping, and money flow is pulling back, so I would watch very closely here as we could continue lower. Remember, back to total, we could push down to the 749 if we don't get hung up somewhere around this consolidation zone where we are hitting right now. Now, that being said, we do have a very quick drop down here as for the last few days. We have a quick drop here, a quick drop here. So usually when you have a quick move one way, you do end up retracing. That's why we are pulling back. We did blow past all this price action and we just shot up. So us making this correction down may not be the end of the world, providing we see a bounce forward. So over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we do have a little bit more action here for the day. So we are still within our flag technically, but I would err on the side of caution as we are seeing that consolidation after the push down. Again, that could create a bear flag that would invalidate the bull flag and try to bring us down toward that gapped area around that 80 to 76K. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is starting to pull back. VWAP is favoring bearish after getting a higher high and a higher low. So I would err on the side of caution as this could end up pulling us lower. Momentum does want to reject with a red dot. So watch that VWAP on lower time frames. If it continues to push down, then we're likely going to continue lower here. Over on the 1 hour, we did end up filling a gap that we had, and we kind of just shot back down. So that is positive because that does mean we may not end up pulling back here later, and we don't really have any other gaps that we could end up filling. So what we need here is higher highs with higher lows. Once we start seeing higher highs with higher lows, then we could create a bullish trend to help push us forward. That VWAP is attempting to create a bullish trend, and it is breaking through the neutral, giving the momentum a double green dot, suggesting we do want to gain some bullish traction. So if that VWAP can stay bullish or at least favor more bullishly than bearishly, so kind of the inverse of right here, then we could see a strong move forward. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, we did break that 93K. We did warn in our Discord that it did look like our pattern was being invalidated. So hopefully you took that warning and hopefully you have some sort of order in place. So we may end up looking at our order books for us and seeing if we want to average in this region right here. But over on the daily, VWAP is breaking down quick, momentum is dropping, money flow is bearish. Overall, not very good. We want to watch this 1 hour very close. So we had that double bottom possibility. When we were right around here, we said, hey, things do look sideways. Someone said they're worried about the market. I said, yeah, we are kind of moving sideways, potentially invalidating the double bottom. So again, this does show why you only want to trade on confirmation, because if you would have taken it just because we had the possibility of a breakup, you'd be at a pretty decent loss today. But we will delete all these patterns as that rising channel is completely invalidated at this point, if I can get it to click on it. So at this point, we have lower highs with lower lows. This could be a bearish continuation here, which could help pull us back down toward that gapped area. That VWAP is in the bearish territory. Momentum is pulling back. Money flow is heavy in the red. So overall, I would watch very close, because if we end up pushing further lower and we do not get kind of a hang up around that 90K, then I'd say there's a pretty decent possibility of filling that gapped area. Now, that being said, we do have the $5,000 that was announced that we're going to get next year based on the savings from the Doge and all that. So once all that money starts going into the market, we may see some sort of pullback toward that 70K. Maybe 70K becomes our strong support. Then that money comes in the market, and then we would get a new high. That would be based on things like we saw how the COVID pump worked, because once all that stimulus came, that's when we got our 69K from the previous bull market. So Kasich does want to push up. Our side is starting to weaken. VWAP is favoring bearish with the lower lows, so keep an eye on that. And momentum is dropping. So overall, I would err on the side of caution and watch this 1 hour very close. That VWAP is trying to pull back and reject that neutral, so we may have further downside to go here. Now over on graph, we will cover this. We had that descending triangle. So again, that was a symmetrical triangle here. So we got that descending breakdown. That's what I meant to say. We got our descending breakdown from our bearish flag, so our bearish triangle. I'm all over the place apparently. So that could end up pulling us back. Now, we did say watch for a pullback around this 11-cent zone if we are not able to break that 316 and hold. And right now, it does look like we are starting to do that. So I would watch that very close. I'm not going to say it would retest that pattern, as we have moved pretty sideways and that pattern may be invalidated. Now, we have a consolidation range here after a push down. This could create a bear flag, which could try to drop us even lower. So again, watch things very closely as we make these consolidative moves, but you measure from top to bottom, apply that down, that gives you a breakdown, and that could break that value area low and push us right around that like 6-cent range. So Kasich does want to pull back. RSI is starting to weaken. That VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is dropping away. So overall, I would watch very closely. So over on the 1 hour, we did break our value area low. We did see some strong red candles, and we did continue lower. We didn't really retest our pattern. We kind of just shot away from it. Here we did have a bearish long lower shadow candle, hammer candle. We tried to push forward with a long upper shadow. So we tried to get some bullish momentum. That was invalidated. We got a bearish candle, so that kind of confirmed that hammer candle inside the long lower shadow candle. And then we saw another long upper shadow candle, which wound up breaking us away from our pattern. That brought us down to our support, and then we saw further red candles, further long upper shadow candles, and then we continued to break away. So Kasich is starting to break down. VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is dropping away, and that money flow is in the bearish territory. So watch that VWAP very close. With this lower low, we could see a continued move to the downside, and again, we could end up retesting lower targets. So watch that very closely. At daily, could end up playing out. So we will delete that on the way to any kind of breakdown there. If we can get all of these deleted real quick, there would be obvious support levels like our value area low and any other consolidation zones that we have made. So we would have this 1157, then we would have this 7716. So those would be the major supports we have mapped out right now. And then you would have probably a more minor support right around this 998, so maybe 10-cent range. So those would be the areas I would be watching and possibly DCAing in at. So Kasich does want to drop away. RSI is starting to pull back. VWAP is favoring bearish. So overall, exercise caution. Now over on Anchor, going to have very similar action here, so we won't spend as much on it, but we do have a sideways movement after a breakdown. Again, that does create a bear flag, so we will just draw this out so you can kind of see where this can land us. So there's our channel right there. There's our push right here. You apply this pull right down, and that gives you a breakdown zone to about 1.5 cents. So pretty decent breakdown. That'd be retesting the bottom of our Fibonacci range. So Kasich is starting to pull back. VWAP is starting to favor bearish. Momentum is dropping away, and money flow is in the red. So overall, I would exercise caution here. Over on XRP, we did see a pretty quick round away. our RSI is starting to drop away, stochastic is favoring bearish. VWAP has a lower low with a lower high, so we have bearish trend, bringing momentum lower, and that will continue to weaken that money flow if we do not meet support here at this 231. So if we break away from our 231, again, watch for this 212. Then we have consolidation right here around that 147. We have some wicks around that 195. So those would be the kind of areas I'd be watching in the short term. And then we have that golden pocket right here, right around that 125 to about 116. Hopefully we don't get that low though. Stochastic is starting to pull back. VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is dropping, and that money flow is heavy in the red. So even though we have news the lawsuits being dropped, we are seeing the market drop down pretty quick, which is pretty shocking in my opinion. VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is dropping away on the 1 hour. Money flow is pulling back. So overall, I would exercise caution, but we are seeing a pretty quick drop down. So remember, when you have a quick drop down, usually you do get that bounce forward. Now, last but not least, for algo for the daily, we are starting to break away here as well, pushing down to a previous consolidation just below that 25. We have been warning to watch for that 25, so hopefully you are taking advantage of this zone if you're buying algo. VWAP does have a shorter high, and we are starting to pull back for a consistent low, bringing that momentum and money flow lower. If this does not reverse soon, then it's likely we would make that push down to that 1906 next. We do also have some consolidation right around this 2145, so that could be a midway support between our two major support levels. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is pushing down, RSI is weakening, that VWAP is favoring bearish. We have lower highs and consistent lows, so we are favoring bearish, bringing momentum and money flow lower. If this does not reverse, then we are likely going to continue lower. We also have a descending bearish continuation, we have a bearish continuation where we have lower highs and lower lows that do not connect. If they did connect, we would have a descending channel that tried to push us up, but the slow here kind of broke that possibility. So overall, I would err on the side of caution. We are going to hop right to our trading portfolio. So we will see what we want to, if we can get this to go. No, obviously not. So I had a quick thing. There we go. So our trading. So we are down pretty decent on Bitcoin. Our average price is 98K. So Bitcoin will jump over to this. We're at 92K. So this could be a pretty strong area for us to buy in, since we would be averaging down. So now if we buy in here, maybe we want to buy one Bitcoin. Really wouldn't want to buy that much. We already have 30K in, so we have, let's see, how many shares? 0.4. So maybe we want to buy 0.3 or 0.2. Not 1, 2, 0.2. There we go. So we'll buy 0.2. I don't know if we can get rid of this margin. Nope, 0.2. So again, don't trade on margin. Again, this is why I really don't like this, because with margin, it can eat away any profits, at least in a normal environment. So now we have that buy order. We will hopefully get that buy filled soon. We'll move that up just to modify that order, get to fill. And then if we're going to break away, so remember we have that gapped area right around that 70K, 80K range. So maybe we want to buy right around the top of this range, maybe around this 82K. Maybe we buy another 0.2 there, hit buy. And then maybe if we do drop down to the bottom of our range, right around this 76K, we would want to do another buy right there as well. So there's a few orders for that. Now, XRP, we're in profit, so we're not going to want to buy in because we're going to weaken our profit. That doesn't mean I don't think XRP could go higher. I just don't think it's very sensible when we have these other projects where we're at a loss. Now, Ondo, we have a pretty decent loss here. It's been a while since we covered it. So we did push down to around this dollar zone. I believe we did warn about this dollar zone. So now that we do have a pretty decent drop down, that's about a 50-cent drop. So a third of our price got dropped away here. So we got lost 33%. We'll buy in, as that is a pretty decent average. If I can find trade, create new order. So how many do we have? 16. So we've been buying about 18. So yeah, we'll click buy here. So again, we're just averaging because we haven't averaged for quite some time. Usually you would want your orders ahead of time. Our next range would probably be our point control. So if you're looking for a next drop down, maybe around that 73, 74 cent range. So don't know if our orders are filling. So Ondo did not fill, it looks like. Oh yeah, it did. Never mind. So now next up, so Ando still had a pretty decent loss. We did drop our average down about 20 cents though. So if you wanted to get a little more aggressive, you could, but the payoff is going to start to mitigate after once you do a consistent order. So if you're doing 800, 800, 800, and once you're doing that consistent ordering, at a certain point, there's kind of diminishing returns on how much it drops your average. So dropping your average is ultimately going to be the goal as we see these pullbacks. So we have some losses here on algo. And again, that was a pretty decent drop down. Our average on algo is 38 cents. So maybe we buy in here, as again, we did shave off a pretty decent amount, and we do think is going to continue forward. Now, algo doesn't really have any ETFs. So if you're doing ETF plays, this may not be the one for you. But we could pull this up just a little bit, make sure that fills for us. There we go. And then our next line would be Graph. We're not really at too big of a loss, but Graph does have that pretty decent downside potential. So maybe you want to go somewhere in the midway point, maybe around this 9-10 cent range. We could buy a few more Graph. We have 1,000. Yeah, we'll just buy 150 there. So there we go. Set up a few orders. We'll see how things play out. Obviously, if we start bouncing forward, we would cancel these orders, as if we can gain some strong bullish momentum, then it may not be likely. Now, the main two reasons we bought in right here is not just because I'm saying ape in. It's because, one, we haven't averaged down very often, and two, it's a very red day. So two good conditions for us to DCA in. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night. Hit the like and subscribe, and join us in the Discord.